So I'm going to do swatches so that I know what each of my colors are. I'm also going to do layering. Now this is going to show me what's going to happen if I choose to use two colors to create my own. So I'll do a stripe of the color right across and a stripe the other direction. Okay? And doing that is going to allow me to see what sort of colors I can sort of mix by blending the layers or layering on the top to create my own blends of colors. Now, before I get started, the first thing I did was I drew this grid. Each of these squares is 1/2 centimeter big. Because I've got the larger pack plus the extras, I needed a bit more space. And each of these ones are about 1 centimeter wide. I drew the grid just by taking my ruler and marking off my lines with little tick marks on one side, and then the other, and then the other, and then the other, and then connecting the dots basically, or connecting the tick marks as it were. The really important thing is when you're doing it is just keep your ruler straight. If you're not sure, you can always use a protractor to help you, or you can use the edge of another line like I am here, which helps me maintain a straight edge. All right, now before I'm going to start, the first thing I want to do, now that I have my pretty grid, is I want to erase it. Now, I don't want to erase it completely, but I want to erase it enough that I can't see all this heavy smudging or shadow. I'm not quite sure what I'm seeing here. It's weird lighting in the classroom. But I don't want to see any of this smudging showing through, and I don't want the colors to change from the ink. And I've managed to close my kneadable eraser in the clasp, so it's really hard to open. Oh, and I stuck it on the side there. Okay, there we go. All right, a lot of students in year 9 have been asking me, how do we use the kneadable eraser? Okay, so the kneadable eraser they've been claiming doesn't work very well on pencil. It does, it's just how you use it. One of the advantages of kneadable erasers is they don't make eraser shavings, okay? You know those annoying little things that happen when you go like this, and you end up these little shavings. These shavings are frustrating because when you brush them away, you're actually smudging your work. At home, I've got a nice little brush that I use, but here at school, I don't have that. So a kneadable eraser is handy because it erases without leaving little particulates. So to erase with it, I kind of smush it into a snaky shape, and then I just roll it back and forth. And I'm just going to do this one section for now, just to show you. You can see how my kneadable eraser is slowly turning a darker color because of all the graphite that's getting on it. When that happens, when it gets too dark, just play with it a little bit more and then go for it. Okay, so this is how I've reorganized my colors into an order that I think will get them sort of chromatically in the right families, in the right orders. As I do my layering. So that's going to be what I'll be doing here. And I'll start at the top, I'll go all the way down, stripe along with each color, and then I'll go stripe the other direction with each color, and at the end we should see how every color layers and blends. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened here and how I ended up with extra boxes. I must have miscounted originally, or I'm really off. You can see I mixed up. I forgot to include the Koi Sakura red pen in with the red section. So whoops. And then you might have caught that mistake that I made right here where I used that icy blue color and then I put another color right on top of it because it was so pale I didn't actually realize I'd put it down. So I had to put it again. So technically that's probably not a pure color. That little bit of extra ink happened when my phone lost battery for a second and I had to restart that section. So that happened there. But other than that, that's all the colors done. So now I need to go the other direction of the colors. Okay, so now I'm going to work on layering the colors the other direction. I'm checking for two things that when I do this. One, that the colors, I want to see what new colors they make as I overlay a color, but also I want to keep an eye on the nib of the brush because I'm going to be able to see how much the color lifts and how dirty the brush gets. There's a solution for that if your brush does get dirty, if your brush pen gets dirty, but we want to see what happens. So I'm going to overlay and I can see what happens to the colors. As I overlap. Alright, so now I want to see and take a look, and you can see that my nib has gotten dirty. So to clean that, all I'm going to do is on the edge of my paper, I'm just going to do random stripes and shapes and whatever until it's clean again. The water inside the watercolor brush pens itself will clean the nib as you go. So you just want to keep going until your color comes out clean again, and then you know it's clear. So here I go with my next one. Now this one I'm using the different brand, so I'll see what happens as I go along. Okay, once again, it picks up the color, it gets dirty, so to clean it, I just want to rub it on a scrap of paper. Now what I would encourage you guys to do is use the last page in your sketchbook and use that as your cleaning page, but I'm just using the side of my page here, which works pretty well for me. Okay, so as mentioned before, this is my opportunity to check how colors are layered and how they create new colors. And you can see from all the swatches that you really get quite a variety of color out of these different markers, out of these brush pens, sorry. So it's also a really good reminder about how to get those darker values. So for example, just adding black to orange, it's not the greatest at creating a darker value of orange, but if you go over and add green to your oranges, like here, you can create some deeper oranges, but you also create some really nice deep greens, and that shows you a difference. But the complementary color for orange is blue, so let's see what happens when we look at the blues. So by adding blue to orange, you get a really nice deep rich dark color that will look really nice in a dark sky, for example. Okay, and it also deepens the blue quite well. So oops, focus went out, there we go. So this technique is all about finding the different colors available to you without even starting to mix in things like water and seeing what happens when you do that, because they are watercolor brush pens after all. But you can get a real variety just from layering two colors on top of each other. For example, when you start dealing with skin tones, it's really important to know what colors go on top of each other to help you kind of get a really nice range of shadows and highlights on a person's skin tone. Whether you're looking at the darker colors or if you're looking along some of the lighter colors to get those different ranges. This is why it's really important to do a layering grid, because if you're ever stuck when you're creating an image and you don't know what to put, you can always just take a look back and figure out which two colors you overlap to create the color that you're searching for. And by figuring out which two colors you overlapped, you can recreate that in your final image. In the process of cleaning brushes, I've managed to create this really nice little squiggly thing over here, which I'm kind of a fan of. And now the moment of truth to see how badly, if at all, these watercolor pens bleed to the other side. So let's see. Okay, so you get a bit of what we refer to as ghosting, where the colors kind of shine through. But if you look at the page below, there's no ink transferred. So this book was able to handle the ink on the page.